Hello, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and of course, YouTube. Today is September 10th, 2021. Um, it has been 20 years since 9/11, and while I'm certain that there's going to be a lot of ceremonies and marking the occasion, most of the attention is typically brought on the family members of those who died. And I don't begrudge them that. They lost their loved one. Many of these are children that never got to know their parents. Many of these are folks that were just average people like you and me going to work. And the phrase, there but for the grace of God go I think really resonates with me as I was supposed to be at 4 World Trade that morning at the southeast corner of 4 of the World Trade Center complex. Um, I was supposed to be there, but I was late for work, and I actually lived not that far from the Trade Center. And me, if you go to franksworld.com/WTC, there we go. Yeah, the HTML on this is a bit old, so forgive me. Let's see, can I get it like that? So I wrote this website. I actually happened to have my camera with me that day, and let's see, can I get that better? It's as good as I can get. It's all in a table, as were websites that were made in 2001. This was, yes, happy to be alive day, indeed. Totally agree. Thank you, Thomas. So the background to this is that I just returned from living in Europe. I actually lived in Frankfurt am Main, Germany, or on Main. And I had enjoyed every single minute I lived in Germany. It was a great place to live. And I got a sweet little apartment on John Street, 100 John Street, and could walk to work because I was supposed to work at the old Deutsche Bank building. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And so I happened to have my camera with me. I was going to take pictures the day before at lunch, but that day at work was actually, I still remember, it was a pretty bad day at work. Little did I know that Tuesday was going to be much, much worse. The original 9/11 2001 was on Tuesday. So I'm, it's kind of, I mean, now it's not funny, but the day started, I was supposed to go to the bank that was at the World Trade Center in the mall underneath the Trade Center. And I was supposed to, I want to get there early because there was some drama about my bank account in Germany and my then employer trying to take a large portion of my relocation package back because of some dispute that there was going on with my landlord. And the Deutsche Bank was not, I said their name, but you can figure it out on LinkedIn. So they were not supportive of my counterclaim, and they were just going to take the money. So basically what I was in the process of doing was getting my money out. Yes, that is a good point, Lewis. Lou. Fate, I guess, ultimately rules. I don't know about ultimately, but fate plays a huge role. I think the analogy I like to use, which I think comes from Stoicism at some point, but don't hate me if I'm wrong on this. But basically, you can't adjust the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And you're right. I mean, to a certain point, fate does that, and it was very. You just enjoy every day. Hey, Rupesh, how's it going? Good to see you. So basically, I get out and I kind of wrote this and stuff like that. And the HTML is terrible. So if you look at the source code, whatever, I mean, it's just bad. I think I actually used Adobe to point to a folder directory and basically generate an album site. I don't even think they do that anymore. But ultimately, um, I remember getting out into the street. So first off, I slept in. I was supposed to get up at 5 in the morning, and I was going to go to the gym. I was going to do all these things. I was going to go to the bank, transfer my money out, close the account overseas from the Citibank, where it was a Chase in the bottom of the Trade Center, the mall that was there. And I slept in because I was, shall we say, um, I have been. Oh, the topic for today is recounting surviving 9/11. Actually, oh, you're test flighting iOS. Cool. I definitely. It has been too long. It's been an interesting couple of months here. Um, ja, ich habe auch viel Bier in Deutschland getrunken. In fact, it was quite a number of beer the night before that I had getrunken, which is why I didn't get up when I was supposed to. And I actually was supposed to be at the Trade Center. Let me pull up a map where I lived. Maps. I'm in Edge, so it doesn't really matter. So let me show you where I was. I was living at 100 John Street. Well, there's a lot of John Streets. New York. New York. There we go. So this is basically where I was. Can I close this? Come on, I don't need that. So this is 100 John Street. Oh, I lost the pin. 100 John Street. There we go. So that is 100 John Street. So that's where I lived. I lived on, I think it was the 18th floor. And the World Trade Center was here. This is where they have the memorial. And I was supposed to be, I guess, here. Did they move the street? Greenwich Street. Yeah, Greenwich Street didn't go through at that point. So I was supposed to be here, I think, in a conference room there. And the meeting started at 9. And the Deutsche Bank building used to be at Liberty Street. Used to be here where the church was. Did they rebuild the church or did they move the church? So that's where my office was, and I had a meeting in this building here. And basically what you're seeing on those photos on that site is me walking from 100 John Street closer and closer to the Trade Center. And I still kind of am a photography buff, but I want to take a lot of pictures of the South Street Seaport and stuff like that. So I was going to do that at lunch the day before. Got pulled into some drama, which ironically now I don't even remember what it was. But I remember walking down the street, and the day before was actually pretty bad. And I think this goes back to what Lou said, is like, you appreciate what you have. So I was not really looking forward to going to work, but I, listened to a bunch of Tony Robbins tapes. So I was like, I'm gonna, no matter what it is today, I'm gonna have a good day. And so I was late for work, 8:45-ish. I woke up because it was this loud boom. And little did I know that was actually the first plane crashing into the Trade Center. And I saw the time and realized I had to be in the meeting at 9 o'clock. And when you live like 5 blocks from work, it's really hard to justify being late. So, and there was already plenty of people that were trying to get rid of me at my job at the time. And that's a story for another day. So I ended up walking out on John Street, and I was like, I'm going to have a good day no matter what. I'm walking down the street. And one of the things I noticed as I go down John Street was people were lining up on payphones, right? Cell phones were still very avant-garde at the time. And people were lining up on payphones. I thought, well, that's odd. And I thought, well, maybe there was a crane accident, right? Or because that had happened a lot in New York in a couple of years before. So I'm walking towards the Trade Center because I had no idea what was going on. Ultimately, I start seeing people listening to the news radio, like right in front of, like surrounded by cars. People were in their cars, and they had lowered the windows, and people were listening to what was going on. So at that point, I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I pull up to somebody who, and this is New York, you don't generally talk to strangers. was like, what's going on? And she pointed at that. She goes, that's going on. And then she proceeded to go down this tangent, and this is why you don't talk to strangers in New York. So I remember seeing that, like, holy shit, there's a fire up there. And I was like, oh man. And I start getting my camera out because I had my camera with me, and Sony Mavica. And then I just start taking pictures. And then my next thought was, well, at least I have an excuse for being late because of this big fire. So there's the Millennium Hotel, which almost tipped over a few times. I'm walking closer, getting closer, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is a bad fire. And I just had no idea the other tower was on fire. So ultimately, I get closer, and at some point there's a police barricade being set up. And this is a zoom in picture I took. And basically, they wouldn't let me get much past this here. So I ended up, is this the last photo? Nope, got another one. And so I literally had no idea what was going on. I just thought it was just a fire, and that sort of thing. And as this is the last picture I took, and next thing I know, because I didn't know the South Tower was on fire, like couldn't see it from here. It wasn't immediately obvious. Just thought it was smoke from the North Tower. And next thing I know, so at this point, I would be, where is it? That's Nassau Street. We'll get back to Nassau Street in a minute. Yeah, that's Broadway, where John Street kind of turns into Day Street. So I was about here when I was taking those pictures, and it wasn't immediately obvious because of all the buildings. So the next thing I know, I heard this loud crack and boom, and all of us kind of collectively in the crowd looked over to the South Tower, and then the South Tower is basically collapsing, like right there. And if you look at the footage of the Trade Center collapsing, the South Tower fell first. You'll notice that it kind of tips in one direction. I think probably like the northeastish direction. That was the direction I was in. So I literally thought the building was going to fall on me. And I'm young, I'm stupid. Did some crazy things when I lived overseas, and driving on the Autobahn, going fast, and a ski and all this. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm going to die in my hometown. Like here, like really, this is how it ends. After living, being an EMT, living in the Bronx, and all these crazy things I'd done throughout my years, this is how it ends. And I was really kind of almost pissed off. I don't know if I can say that on LinkedIn. Sorry. So ultimately, what happened was I kind of had this thought. Somebody behind me shouted, "Run!" And so, of course, I ran, and I turned around right about here. And a lot of this stuff probably wasn't there in these businesses. So started running. And I'll never forget the look on this lady's face. It was this elderly, well, not elderly, but older woman who was obese. She was just on the ground crying because she couldn't run. And I wanted to help her. And this has haunted me. And I haven't really talked much about this publicly, certainly not on a live stream. This has haunted me ever since then, her face, because I wanted to stop and help her. But I was also afraid I would get trampled on too, because you hear these stories of when there's a fire, half the injuries are people getting stomped. So I kind of made a split-second decision, which I kind of regret to this day, to run and basically run. I ran to about here. And this is when I kind of had this thought in my head, well, I'm not dead yet, so the building hasn't fallen on me. And I turned around thinking I was safe, right? Because I had avoided the building falling. Now, obviously, with 20 years of hindsight or whatever, we know that the building didn't tip over, kind of went down on itself. Oops. Sorry about that. So ultimately, I turned left onto Nassau Street here. And let's see, we'll just do the street view. Yeah. So this is what it looked like at the time. Yep, that's the doorway. Holy crap. Whew. So basically, I was here. Can I move further on Nassau in the corner? Uh, um, so ultimately, I turned thinking like, well, when I turned around, I would have been here. How do we move back to here? And I do have a meeting coming up like 1 minute ago. But I'll continue the story over the weekend at another time. But ultimately, what I did was I ran down Nassau Street, and it was very eerie. That's when the dust cloud kind of hit, and basically, I thought I died because everything went dark, and then everything went light, and then um, that's what you hear when people die. So I thought I died, and the only thing that I realized that made me realize that I had lived, I was alive, was I couldn't breathe. And it was at that moment that some guy pulled me out of because I had the Mavica camera. The old Sony Mavicas had this backlight that was like really bright, and I had it on, and it would basically kind of broadcast in my presence. And somebody pulled me by the camera into a shoe store, and that was when I found out that the Pentagon had been hit, and that there was this going on, and yeah. So one thing I want to add before I drop is thank you for listening. I think one of the things that's happened over the years, if you look at 9/11 survivors, the people who survived the attack and lived have had, I can tell you very personally, that have had a rough road. The help and the assistance that government programs that were going on all basically went to the people, the families who died. And, while I don't begrudge them that, there's been a lot of health issues you see with the firefighters and rescue workers that have largely been ignored, and much to my chagrin. But a lot of misinformation about the air being safe to breathe that was put out by the government, and not to get the government rant, but there was definitely an incentive to get everybody back to work in the Wall Street financial area, and to get the economy moving again. This is long before things really got virtual. So yeah, so that's just a touch on my survivor story. Hope you have a great weekend. Spare a thought for those who died, and spare a thought for those who lived. Thank you, and have a great weekend. I might stream tomorrow. I might do more of this later. I don't know. It's kind of hard to talk about, and that's why the site hasn't been updated in like 20 years. Like, if you look, I mean, like, this is just awful HTML. There's missing links. These are all things that I don't even think WordPress was around. One of the things I want to dig up is my 3D model that I built in Adobe Atmosphere of the Trade Center. I don't know if I can open it now, but who knows. Anyway, you have a great weekend, and